The night was alive with the hum of neon lights and the distant wail of sirens. Somewhere in the heart of Seoul, where the skyline was a jagged silhouette against the moon, Jungkook stood atop a skyscraper, his tailored black coat fluttering in the wind. Below him, the city pulsed like a living organism, unaware of the predator lurking in its midst. At 25, he was already a legend, a name whispered in fear and reverence. The son of Kim Min-jun, the most feared mafia boss in South Korea, Jungkook had been molded into a weapon since birth. His father's words echoed in his mind. Asterisk, in this world, there's no room for weakness. You either rule or you die. Asterisk, but tonight, something felt different. The air was charged with an unspoken tension, and the usual thrill of power felt hollow. Jungkook's sharp eyes scanned the city, his mind replaying the events of the past few weeks. Strange disappearances, cryptic messages, and a growing sense that someone or something was watching him. He had always been one step ahead, but now for the first time he felt like a pawn in a game he didn't fully understand. As he turned to leave, his phone buzzed. A single message lit up the screen. Asterisk, the truth will destroy you. Meet me at the old warehouse by the docks. Come alone. Asterisk, the sender was unknown, but the timing was too precise to be a coincidence. Jungkook's lips curled into a smirk. Whoever was playing this game was about to learn why he was the most feared man in Seoul. The warehouse was a decaying relic of the city's industrial past, its walls stained with rust and graffiti. Jungkook moved like a shadow, his footsteps silent as he approached the entrance. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. In the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in darkness, their face obscured by a hood. "You've got my attention," Jungkook said, his voice calm but laced with menace. "Now who are you and what do you want?" The figure stepped into the light, pulling back the hood to reveal a face that made Jungkook's blood run cold. It was a woman, her features strikingly familiar, her eyes a mirror of his own. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Hello, brother," she said. "I've been waiting a long time for this." Jungkook's mind raced. Brother? He had no siblings. His father had always been clear about that. But the resemblance was undeniable. Before he could respond, the woman continued. "You think you know the truth, Jungkook, but everything you've been told is a lie. Our father, he's not who you think he is. And neither are you." The ground seemed to shift beneath his feet. Jungkook's instincts screamed at him to leave, to dismiss this as some elaborate trick. But something in her voice, something raw and unflinching, made him stay. "Explain," he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. She took a step closer, her eyes locking onto his. "Min-jun isn't your father. He took you from your real family when you were just a baby. Your entire life has been a lie, Jungkook. You were never meant to be his heir. You were meant to be his weapon." The words hit him like a sledgehammer, shattering the foundation of everything he thought he knew. His mind flashed back to his childhood, the relentless training, the cold indifference of his father, the way he was always pushed to be stronger, faster, more ruthless. Had it all been a lie? Before he could process the revelation, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the warehouse. The woman's expression turned urgent. "They're coming for you, Jungkook. You're not the only one who knows the truth, and there are people who will do anything to keep it buried. Trust no one." As the door burst open, a group of armed men stormed in, their guns trained on Jungkook. Without hesitation, he drew his own weapon, his mind a whirlwind of confusion and rage. The woman vanished into the shadows, leaving him alone to face the onslaught. Bullets flew, and the warehouse erupted into chaos. Jungkook moved with lethal precision, his body operating on pure instinct. But even as he fought, the woman's words echoed in his mind. Asterisk, you were never meant to be his heir. You were meant to be his weapon. Asterisk, when the last man fell, Jungkook stood amidst the carnage, his chest heaving. The truth was out there, and he would stop at nothing to uncover it. But one thing was certain, the game had changed. And this time he wasn't just playing to win, he was playing to survive. The warehouse was silent now, save for the faint crackle of flames from a nearby overturned oil barrel. Jungkook stood amidst the chaos, his mind a storm of questions and doubts. The woman's words reverberated in his head like a haunting melody. Asterisk, you were never meant to be his heir. You were meant to be his weapon. Asterisk, he clenched his fists, his knuckles white. If what she said was true, then his entire life had been a carefully constructed lie. But why? And who was he really? As he stepped over the bodies of the men he had just killed, Jungkook's phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from his father, or the man he had always believed to be his father. Kim Min-jun's voice was calm, almost too calm. "Jungkook, where are you? We need to talk." Jungkook's jaw tightened. "I'm on my way," he replied, his tone icy. He ended the call and slipped the phone back into his pocket. If Minjun was behind this, he would find out soon enough. But first, he needed answers, and there was only one person who could give them to him. The drive to the Kim family estate was a blur. Jungkook's mind raced as he navigated the winding roads, his thoughts a tangled web of betrayal and suspicion. The grand gates of the estate loomed ahead, their iron bars gleaming under the moonlight. As he stepped out of the car, the familiar scent of jasmine filled the air, a stark contrast to the violence he had just left behind. Minjun was waiting for him in the study, his back turned as he gazed out the floor-to-ceiling windows. The room was opulent, filled with artifacts from around the world, a testament to the Kim family's power and influence. But tonight it felt like a gilded cage. "You're late," Minjun said, his voice devoid of emotion. He turned to face Jungkook, his sharp eyes scanning him for any sign of weakness. "What happened?" Jungkook didn't flinch. "I was ambushed. Someone knows about us." "About me?" Minjun's expression remained unreadable. And they told me something interesting," Jungkook said, his voice steady. "They said you're not my father, that you took me from my real family." For a moment there was silence. Then Minjun let out a low chuckle. "You've always been too clever for your own good, Jungkook. But you're wrong. I am your father. Everything I've done to protect you." "Protect me?" Jungkook's voice rose, his anger boiling over. "You turned me into a killer. You made me into this monster. And for what? To serve your empire." Minjun's eyes narrowed. "You think this is about power? About money? You're naive, Jungkook. There are forces at play here that you can't even begin to understand. The truth is, you were never safe. Not from the moment you were born." Jungkook took a step closer, his hand instinctively reaching for the gun at his side. "Then tell me the truth. Who am I? Who are you really?" Before Minjun could respond, the sound of shattering glass filled the room. A bullet whizzed past Jungkook's ear, embedding itself in the wall behind him. He dove for cover as more shots rang out, the windows exploding in a shower of glass. Minjun was already moving, his movements swift and calculated despite his age. "We need to go. Now," Minjun barked, pulling a hidden lever that opened a secret passageway in the wall. Jungkook hesitated, his instincts warring with his desire for answers. But the sound of approaching footsteps forced his hand. He followed Minjun into the passage, the door sliding shut behind them just as armed men burst into the study. The underground tunnel was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of damp earth. Jungkook kept his gun drawn, his senses on high alert. "Who are they?" he demanded as they hurried through the narrow passage. "Enemies," Minjun replied curtly. "People who want you dead. People who have been hunting you since the day you were born." "Why?" Jungkook pressed. "What's so special about me?" Minjun stopped abruptly, turning to face him. His expression was grim, but there was a flicker of something else, regret perhaps. "Because you're not just my son, Jungkook. You're the heir to something far greater. Something that could change the balance of power in this world." Before Jungkook could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them. Minjun's eyes hardened. "There's no time. You need to go. I'll hold them off." "No," Jungkook said firmly. "I'm not running anymore. Not until I get the truth." Minjun hesitated, then nodded. "Very well. But know this. The truth will cost you everything." As the footsteps grew closer, Jungkook and Minjun prepared for the fight of their lives. But even as they stood back to back, guns drawn, Jungkook couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The web of deception was far more intricate than he had imagined, and every step he took brought him closer to a truth that would change everything. The tunnel was a labyrinth of darkness, the only light coming from the faint glow of Minjun's flashlight. The sound of their pursuers grew louder, their voices echoing off the damp walls. Jungkook's heart pounded in his chest, but his mind was razor-sharp. He had spent his entire life preparing for moments like this, though he had never imagined they would involve the man he once called father. "This way," Minjun hissed, pulling Jungkook into a narrow side passage. The walls were so close that Jungkook could feel the cold stone brushing against his shoulders. They moved quickly, their breaths shallow and synchronized. After what felt like an eternity, they emerged into a hidden chamber. A room filled with ancient artifacts, maps, and documents. It was a treasure trove of secrets, and Jungkook's eyes widened as he took it all in. "What is this place?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "This," Minjun said, his tone heavy with gravity, "is where your true legacy begins." He walked over to a large ornate chest and opened it, revealing a collection of old scrolls and a single intricately designed dagger. The blade was etched with symbols Jungkook didn't recognize, but they seemed to pulse with an almost otherworldly energy. "Your real name is not Jungkook," Minjun began, his voice steady but laced with regret. "You were born as Kim Taeyong, the last descendant of the Shadow Dynasty, a secret lineage that has existed for centuries, tasked with maintaining the balance between light and darkness. Your family was betrayed and slaughtered when you were just a baby. I took you in to protect you, but also to prepare you for the day you would reclaim your birthright." Jungkook's mind reeled. The Shadow Dynasty? A secret lineage? It sounded like something out of a myth, but the intensity in Minjun's eyes told him it was anything but. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he demanded. "Because the truth would have put you in even greater danger," Minjun replied. "The people hunting you, they're part of an ancient order known as the Crimson Veil. They believe your bloodline holds the key to ultimate power, and they will stop at nothing to destroy you." Before Jungkook could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed through the chamber. The Crimson Veil had found them. Minjun's expression hardened as he handed Jungkook the dagger. "This is the Blade of Eclipsis. It's the only weapon that can stop them. Use it wisely." Jungkook gripped the dagger, its weight familiar yet foreign in his hand. "What about you?" Minjun smiled, a rare, genuine smile that Jungkook had only seen a handful of times in his life. "I've lived long enough to see you become the man you were meant to be. Now it's your turn to finish what your family started." As the first of the Crimson Veil's agents burst into the chamber, Minjun charged at them with a ferocity that belied his age. Jungkook hesitated for only a moment before joining the fray. The Blade of Eclipsis moved as if it had a mind of its own, its edge slicing through the enemy with unnatural precision. But the agents kept coming, their numbers seemingly endless, and the chaos. Jungkook caught a glimpse of Minjun falling to his knees, blood staining his shirt. Rage surged through him, and he fought with a brutality that even he didn't know he was capable of. When the last of the agents lay dead, Jungkook rushed to Minjun's side. "You were always more than a weapon," Minjun said, his voice weak but filled with pride. "You are the heir to a legacy that transcends this world. Find the others like you, unite them, and end this war once and for all." With those final words, Minjun's eyes closed, and his body went still. Jungkook knelt there, his hands trembling as he clutched the Blade of Eclipsis. The weight of his newfound destiny pressed down on him, but so did the fire of determination. He would honor Minjun's sacrifice. He would uncover the truth about his bloodline, and he would destroy the Crimson Veil, no matter the cost. As Jungkook stood to leave, a voice called out from the shadows. "You fight well, Taeyong, but you can't do this alone." He turned to see the woman from the warehouse stepping into the light. Behind her were others, men and women, each bearing the same ancient symbols that adorned the Blade of Eclipsis. They were the last remnants of the Shadow Dynasty, survivors who had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the day their true heir would rise. The woman smiled, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and resolve. "Welcome home, brother. The war is just beginning." Jungkook's grip tightened on the dagger as he looked at the group before him. For the first time in his life, he felt a sense of belonging. But he also knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger. The Crimson Veil was powerful, and they would not rest until he was dead. As he stepped forward to join his newfound allies, Jungkook made a silent vow. He would uncover the secrets of his past. He would avenge his family, and he would reclaim the legacy that had been stolen from him. The hidden chamber, now littered with the bodies of Crimson Veil agents, felt like a tomb. Jungkook stood amidst the carnage, the Blade of Eclipsis still glowing faintly in his hand. The woman from the warehouse, his sister as she had called herself, stepped forward, her piercing gaze locked onto his. Behind her, the other members of the Shadow Dynasty watched in silence, their expressions a mix of awe and anticipation. "My name is Sua," she said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. "And these are the last of our kind. We've been waiting for you, Taeyong. The Crimson Veil has hunted us for generations, but with you we finally have a chance to fight back." Jungkook's mind raced. He had spent his entire life believing he was the heir to a mafia empire, only to discover he was part of something far greater and far more dangerous. The weight of his new reality pressed down on him, but he couldn't afford to falter. "Not now." "What do we do?" he asked, his voice firm. Fa nodded, a flicker of approval in her eyes. "The Crimson Veil is led by a man known only as the Obsidian King. He's the one who ordered the massacre of our family. He believes that by eradicating the Shadow Dynasty, he can claim the power of the Eclipsis for himself. But he doesn't understand that the blade chooses its wielder. Chose you, Taeyong. And with it, we can end his reign." Jungkook glanced down at the dagger, its intricate carvings seeming to pulse with a life of their own. Where do we start? The Obsidian King's stronghold is hidden deep within the mountains, one of the other Shadow Dynasty members said, stepping forward. He was a tall man with a scar running down his cheek, his presence commanding. But getting there won't be easy. The Crimson Veil has eyes everywhere. Then we move quickly and quietly, Jungkook said, his tone leaving no room for argument. We strike before they know we're coming. Sua smiled, a fierce determination lighting up her face. Welcome to the family, brother. Let's show them what the Shadow Dynasty is truly capable of. The journey to the mountains was fraught with tension. The group moved under the cover of darkness, avoiding main roads and staying off the grid. Jungkook found himself studying